Today I've put together a compilation of some of my favourite gallium videos. I needed quite a lot of gallium for this project, and I filled up all 8 little Lego style figures. Then I melted down some more, and used this big syringe to fill up a load of these blocks too. I left them to cool down, and popped the figures out of the mould, and they looked absolutely brilliant. This time I used a candle making kit to try and make a gallium candle. I pierced a hole in the end for the wick, and used a small cake candle pushed through and held centrally, which I encased with gallium. Once it had set, I removed it from the mould, cut off the end of the candle, and lit it up. It lit straight away, but then it went out, so I had to melt off some of the gallium to dig out the candle a bit, and tried again. This time it worked pretty well. As the candle burned, it melted down the gallium. For the next one, I wanted to make a round metal ball, so I poked a hole in a ping pong ball, stood it upright in an egg cup, then filled it with gallium. As it cooled down, it actually expanded a bit, so I snapped off the excess, then peeled off the plastic shell, to reveal a really cool, almost perfectly round metal ball. And it actually rolls really well. Pouring gallium into moulds is great fun, and you can even make your own. I used a lump of plasticine, spread it out onto a table, and made an impression of a padlock. Then I went one further by slicing the mould and wrapping it around this hasp and staple. I smoothed out the mould, then filled it with gallium. Once it had set, I removed the plasticine, and there's our padlock. Slightly irregular, but it is quite fun. And you can use a hairdryer to open the lock. I also used plasticine to make a series of fidget spinners. One of the first ones I made was by simply taking an imprint of a plastic spinner, then taking a skateboard wheel bearing, placing it in the centre, and filling the mould up with gallium. I left it to set, then removed it from the mould, and had this really cool, really well balanced metal fidget spinner. I removed the caps from the bearing on my plastic fidget spinner, and used them for the gallium one. For this one I rolled out some plasticine, and made a spiral around a bearing. Then filled it with gallium. It looks great, and after it turned solid, I removed the plasticine mould and fitted the bearing caps. Although this one is weighted badly and out of balance, it is really cool. I'll show you with this aluminium Coke can. I wanted to keep the top closed, so I pierced a hole in the side of the can to drain out the drink. Then abraded the surface of the can with some sandpaper so it's nicely scratched up, and added a little bit of the liquid gallium to the surface. Then I left it to see what happens. Over the next hour or so, it seemed to change. It was kind of absorbed into the aluminium, and it appeared to change the structure. And when I poked it with my finger, look what happened. The material is now soft enough to just roll up with my fingers. I kept pulling, and removed the whole top. It just peeled away. But the rest of the structure did appear unaffected. And I could just wash off the silvery grey residue on my hands with warm soapy water. For the next can, which I emptied in the same way, I cut the bottom off with a knife, dried it out with some kitchen paper, and abraded the inside with sandpaper. Then I also did the top again. I poured some gallium in and coated the inside, and also added some to the top. Over the next hour, the paint started to crack and flake. It still looks like a can of Coke, but look how weak it is now. I can just poke my finger through the side and pull pieces off. I pulled the top straight off, and pushed my thumb right the way through. Then I just crushed up the whole thing in my hand. I even crushed the whole body of the can. We're just left with these little pieces of almost dust.